Hey, what's going on everybody? Noah Sanford here, just rolling out on Lake Mead, put the boat in the water. We're down here at Hemingway Launch Ramp, going out for just a few hours this afternoon, evening. See if we can get on a few of these pre-spawn, big smallmouth, maybe a few largemouth before the spawn is coming, okay? So the pre-spawn is in full swing, guys. These big females are gonna be out deep. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that today, hopefully when we catch a few, but check this out before I switch it off. I got my side scan on and this is actually picking up the cable for the tires right there. So that's actually pretty cool. But anyways, guys, we're going out for just a few hours. It's 2:20 right now. I've got to be back in around 5. So by the time we drive to our spot and back, we're probably only gonna have about 2 hours to fish. So only planning on probably hitting 1 or 2 spots today for the time we've got. We're going out and gonna see if we can get on a few of these fat pre-spawn female bass. So hopefully we'll get on a few fish. I'll catch you guys when we get to the spot. All right, we're here at the first spot, and the cool thing about the water right now is it's actually pretty off-colored. Now, when I say off-colored, I mean like still probably 8 to 10 foot visibility. I know that's crystal clear in some lakes across the country, but for Lake Mead, typical water clarity this time of year is between 20 and 35 feet. So 8 to 10 right now is probably what I'd say. The reason for that is because it's been really windy, and we actually got quite a bit of rain just a few days ago. So water's just a little bit stained, so that's cool. I'm gonna throw a bigger bait right now for the first few minutes and see if I can get a bite on it. If not, we'll try and figure out the pattern and downsize. When it comes to catching these pre-spawn bass in February and early March, probably that's gonna be the time you're looking at it if you're on the West Coast. If you're up north, probably a little bit later, March, April, and then down south, it really is gonna vary depending on where you live. But this time of year, guys, for us on the West Coast, for the most part, the best pre-spawn bite you're gonna get is gonna be mid to late February and the beginning first half of March. After about towards the last half of March, beginning of April, the spawn is pretty much in full swing. So for this next month, month and a half, is really when those big female fish are gonna be sitting in that deeper water, waiting for the males to make the beds, and they're gonna be getting nice and fat right now. And the reason for that is because once these females go up and lay their eggs, they're going to be very malnourished. They're not going to be eating a lot of food. And so right now is the time that they want to stock up on all those big meals for the spawn. And so you can notice I'm fishing on these outside kind of main lake points here. And then right here, I kind of move into that shallower, more cove-like water. The reason for that is because this time of year, you want to target those female bass. They're typically going to be between 25 and 35 feet. The reason for that is because those males are going to be up cruising shallow looking for a place to make their bed. So the females are going to be off either down the middles and the deepest part of those coves, or they're going to be off to the point. So I like to tell people to look in those areas where the male bass would make the beds, and from there, move out to the middle of those coves or move out around the corner to the points, and that's where those females are going to be. So this spot didn't really pan out, unfortunately. All the conditions were correct, but there were no fish to be caught at that time. So I go ahead and make a move to a different spot. Once again, I start on that main lake kind of outside point, nothing there. So I work my way around into the corner, into the main section of that cove. And I'm focusing in the middle and the guts of that cove where the deepest 25, 35 foot range water is, because those females are going to be sitting off to the edges and down in that deep water. So once again, you can see me starting off on the point here, and then I'm eventually going to work my way around the corner to the inside of that cove. When it comes to bait selection, I usually like to throw bigger baits. So I like to break out that bait casting gear, throw my full-size jigs, full-size worms, that kind of stuff, because typically these females, if they are going to eat something, they're going to go after a big meal. And so I like to throw those big baits, and here we're going to come around the corner and hook this really big fish. So the crazy thing about this catch right here is I actually see a couple fish coming up and hitting at the surface in the back of this cove. I was fairly certain that they were stripers,
So I just tied on a spook really quick just to see if I got any action on that, just to see if they were stripers or if they have carp or what was going on. Typically this time of year, you're not going to get a topwater bite, but usually you'll at least see something following your topwater if they are active near the surface. So I tie on that spook just kind of for fun. When I get back, I pick up the bait that I threw out there like a minute later, and sure enough, a fish was on it.
Got one, guys. That's crazy. So I set my rod down to grab a different rod, and we got a fish. Guys, we've got a huge fish. Like, I don't know what this is. Guys, if this is a bass, all right, I'm starting to freak out, because if this is a bass, it's gonna be huge. Okay, yep, we have a monster, guys. Guys, we have an absolute pig. I'm talking biggest one I've caught in probably several months out of Lake Mead. Guys, we have an absolute beast. Holy crap, I thought this was a catfish. The way it was fighting, it wasn't really fighting, and it was just kind of head shaking. Nope, it turns out it's a bass. A huge one. He's not giving up either. This thing is literally a monster. Guys, I have 5 pound test on. I'm literally fighting this massive smallmouth. I think it's a smallmouth. On 5 pound test. Oh, this is terrible. Get out of the way. This is literally terrible, you guys. I'm literally freaking out right now. I mean, I might seem pretty calm on the outside, but internally I'm freaking out right now, guys. This could be Lake Mead PB, I'm not sure. But it's just not coming up. Like, it's not even remotely coming up. I think I'm getting a little traction on it now. No. Oh boy, it's gonna jump. She's gonna jump. She's gonna jump. She's gonna jump. Holy crap. Guys, it is a beast. When I say it's a big one, I mean big one. I have had to have been fighting this fish for 3 minutes now. Unreal, dude. Unfreaking real how big this fish might be. Get this thing out of the way. Guys, I was literally tying on a spook, like as a joke, just to see. Holy crap, guys, this thing is an absolute demon of a smallmouth. Absolute demon, dude. Here comes the fun part. And by fun, I mean not fun. Come here. Come here. Come here. Holy crap, guys. Look at this fish, dude. Holy crap, that's a 4-pounder. That's literally a 4-pounder. That's literally a 4-pounder. All right, let me get this guy unhooked and then we'll get a weight on it. Look at this freaking fish, dude. This thing literally is a 4-pounder. That thing is a pig. That thing is an absolute beast, you guys. For those of you guys watching who might live like up north or somewhere where you get huge smallies, a 4-pounder is probably nothing. But I'm gonna weigh this thing in a minute. It's hanging out in the live well right now with the oxygenator flowing, so that way you can kind of just rejuvenate a little bit. Because big fish like that, when they tire out, they get really weak, they get really tired. So I like to put big fish in the live well for a minute with that aerator and that oxygenator going, so that way it gives them the maximum amount of oxygen. It puts them in a dark, cool place so they can kind of just chill out for a minute and get their senses. I'm like literally out of breath just because of how stressed I was getting that fish in. So literally, I threw my bait out there, let it sink to the bottom, and then grabbed another rod to tie on a spook, because I was like, I don't know, the water's like 56, 57 back here. I wasn't gonna get a bite on a spook. It just looked top watery. I was bored because I've been fishing for 2.5 hours, whatever, with nothing but one little squeak. And so I was like, well, let's just tie on a topwater, see if we can get a striper to bite or something back here. Because I saw a few kind of stripers on the live scope. And tied on a spook just for fun. Maybe to get lucky and get a striper to eat it. Literally like a minute later, that's weird. It just feels a little heavier than usual. It feels like one of those pressure bites, right? I set the hook and I thought it was a snag at first. I literally thought it was a snag because I was like, it was just heavy, just weight. All of a sudden, that thing started pulling and I was like, holy crap, it's a fish. For like the first 2 minutes, I thought it was a catfish because it was not jumping at all. It wasn't surfacing. It was just kind of dogging me and like doing like those roll kind of like head shakes that a catfish does. Because when a catfish fighting, it kind of just like rolls underwater and you kind of just get those big like lethargic head shake feels. I thought for sure it was just a big catfish. So I was like, whatever. All of a sudden this thing comes up, surfaces, comes completely airborne. I'm like, holy crap, it's a freaking 4-pound smallie. And there we go. We got it. Literally, I'm gonna have to time it. That was like a 3 or 4 minute fight. Maybe longer, I don't know. That was insane. 5-pound test. That was crazy. I'm gonna get her out of the live well and we're gonna get a weight. Oh man, it's so close. 384, guys. 384. So close, man. I thought for sure, well, actually not really, but I thought it might barely go 4, but 384, guys, or 82. 84, 384. Absolute stud. Let's put her back in. The beast going back in. Just a beautiful fish. And there she goes. Man, what a freaking way to end the night, you guys. I was gonna make like 2 or 3 casts with that spook, which I'm not even gonna do now. I'm packing it up and leaving. I'm leaving on that note. It's getting dark. What a way to finish. That was so stinking cool, man. Was not expecting that at all. Well guys, there you have it right there. Went out for a couple hours and didn't catch a ton. In fact, only caught one little squeak and one monster. But I'll tell you what, when you get those big bites like that, those big female pre-spawn bass, even if you just get one of them all day, it makes the trip more than worth it. That was such a cool way to end out the night. I thought for sure this was borderline gonna be a video that I wasn't even gonna post until obviously we hook into that thing. Yep, we're posting it. But appreciate you guys watching. I hope you're able to learn something, you know, after what I was talking about today about how to catch these big pre-spawn bass on your lake right now and where to target them and what kind of baits to throw. Glad we were able to put it into fruition and make it possible to show you guys that what I was talking about throughout the video actually does work, and it does make sense, because one thing that I forgot to mention about that fish is the spot that I threw my bait was a similar spot to what we were talking about all day. It was in the middle of this cove, and it was a long point. There's this big round cove, and it was a long point going down right the middle of it. And I threw that bait probably 30 feet off the point, and it probably landed between 25 and 30 feet of water. So those big stagers, those big pre-spawn bass are gonna be sitting off the edges of those points, and they're gonna be, if they're in coves, in the deepest part of the cove, and if they're offshore or on those points, they're gonna be in that 20 to 30 foot range, depending on your lake. So hopefully you guys were able to learn something from that video, and I'm glad I was able to catch that fish to show you guys that it does work, and the strategies and techniques I was talking about do actually work. So get out there, guys, catch those big bass on your lake. If you guys want an opportunity to catch a bass like that with me, check out LasVegasSportFishing.com. Linked in the description where you can book a trip or call me at my phone number at the end of this video. All right, guys, Noah Sanford, appreciate you always coming along. We'll see you guys out on the water.